Hey, what it do, y'all? It's your boy E2 Blue coming back at you again. And it's Super Bowl week. Unfortunately, Dallas Cowboys are not in the Super Bowl, but what else is new? But on another note, more somber note, before I even talk about what I want to talk about in the video, I never got a chance to. I haven't done a video since before the tragic incident of Kobe Bryant passing away. Um, when I first heard about the news about Kobe Bryant, actually Miss Jackie sent me a text message on it. She sent me the article about it, and I was like, when I first looked at it, I said, "What? There's no way." Then I looked at the source, and I was like, it was from Sports Illustrated, and I'm like, Sports Illustrated don't lie. So I could see if it was like some other trash publishing company, then I would have thought it was a hoax. But it seems like right after I got that, it was like CBS Sports came out with it, then the NFL came out with it, then I saw TMZ's article on it, and just to talk about TMZ for a second, like they broke the news so early that his own wife didn't even know what happened. So I just think that that's. I understand that they pay for their material and whatever the situation is, but I just think that that's just not in good taste to bring out a death of somebody and the immediate family doesn't even know about the situation yet. I mean, it's just not in good taste in my opinion. And being a guy like myself that's a communications major and know a lot about the media and things of that, I don't agree with a lot of the things that they have to do. I understand that it's their job to bring out news, but you got to have the facts and you got to have the right things. I know the TMZ was correct with what they did, but there were other outlets that were just saying wrong things about. Said Rick Fox was on there. They said all his daughters was on there with him, and but before I continue, just let's have a moment of silence for Kobe Bryant. All right, so I mean, I still can't believe it. The FBI had to get into it because when the crash site was really hard to get to, because where they crashed at in the Calabasas mountains, it was in a very rough terrain. So they had a lot of people that live in the area or just come into the area just to try to see the crash site and try to see what happened. And it's kind of a dangerous area, and it's a lot of fog in that area. So they really shouldn't have been flying the helicopter that morning anyway because there was a lot of fog, and they were getting radio in by the I guess the local what do they call it, the people that do the air things. I forget what they're called. The air traffic control people. So they basically paged into the helicopter. Hey, you're flying too low. You gotta raise up. And I guess he couldn't see something happen. He must have hit something, and they crashed. And from what the news articles say, basically that um, it happened so fast that, well, the people that were eyewitness that were around, they basically said that it had everything happened so fast, so they really didn't get a chance for survival, and that's sad to see Kobe and his second youngest daughter passing away with him, and you guys seen her a lot with him at basketball games and things of that nature. And the crazy thing was the night before, he was at LeBron James' game because he beat his all-time scoring record. So just shout out to the Bryant family, and just prayers up for them. And it's just, I know it's a difficult time for them, and I know a lot of people. Kobe Bryant has touched a lot of people's lives, and it hit a lot of people at home. I mean, it just hit to the heart, it hit to the soul, and I know it hurts, but you know at least he did live a good life. He had a great career. He made a lot of money. He got to do a lot of things that a lot of us have never seen or done in life. So rest in peace to a legend, man. That's just whew, boy. But on a lighter note, on a happier note, happy 60th anniversary to the Dallas Cowboys organization. They hit 60 years this year today. Um, and let's go back a little bit. Let's go back a little bit. So, I'm gonna end it with the coaching staff right now because our coaching staff now is complete. But let's take it back to the beginning. So the original owner, Dallas Cowboys, Clint Murchison Jr. Um, Cowboys were established in 1960, and the funny thing was, of course, they weren't good when they came out. They were just like other teams when they were expansion teams. When they came out, they sucked. They originally played at the Cotton Bowl, and in 1971, when they won their first Super Bowl, that was when they moved to well, after they won the first Super Bowl, because that next season, 1971, which I've never seen a stadium open halfway through in the season, but whatever. So they moved to Irving, to Texas Stadium, which was their old stadium, and they've been there ever since the new stadium got built where they are now in 2000, I think 2008. So where they are now at AT&T Stadium. So it's crazy because you look at like two major changes they had. I mean, three if you count the Cotton Bowl, but I'm not going to count that one because it wasn't really, their own. So having their own stadium, they've had two locations. Um, and Bum Bright bought them in 1984. And then he turned around and sold the Dallas Cowboys again to Jerry Jones in 1989. And that was when Jerry Jones came in. His first thing he did, first order of business, he fired Tom Landry. And it was a lot of speculation behind that because everybody was like, well, why would he come in here and do that and things of that nature? So it was a lot of controversy over that. Then he basically said that I'm basically going to be in control of everything from the balls and shoes to jocks and socks. So that's basically what he said. Um, but let's take it back a taste. So in 1971 is when they won their first Super Bowl. So as you know, you guys already know. If you're real fans, you already know this. Dallas Cowboys have 5 Super Bowls: 1971, 1977, 92, 93, and 95. And Dallas Cowboys have always been an up and down team. They started out trash. That's because, they were expansion. They had to grow their team. Then, they came into the era and they got better and better and better. And, they won their Super Bowls. Captain America, Roger Staubach. Tom Landry was their first coach. So when Jerry Jones came in and fired him, it's like, okay, well, dag, what are we going to do here? Now, but you look at these Hall of Fame coaches and players that we had on this team. You look at, the Tom Landry, Jimmy Johnson. We all love Jimmy Johnson. He just made it into the Hall of Fame. And, Bill Parcells, even though he only coached the team for 3 years, he was a big impact on Tony Romo and Jason Witten when they first got in the league. So I think Tony Romo's ability as a quarterback is great because of how much Bill Parcells was in his ass when he came to this team. And, it goes back on what I was telling you about quarterbacks not growing on trees, guys. You remember we went through a lot of years with this Dallas Cowboy team with not good quarterbacks. You talk about like Drew Bledsoe, Testaverde, Quincy Carter, like just guys that just here and gone. You know what I mean? Ryan Leaf. I mean, I know I'm missing a bunch of them, but like they don't matter because they're trash. But you look at the greats like Roger Staubach, Randy White, Don Meredith. You look at when we had Bob Lilly, Mel Renfro, Everson Walls. I wish he was one of the greatest cornerbacks to ever be on this Dallas Cowboy team. I think he had like 56 interceptions or something like that, and he still ain't making it in the Hall of Fame yet. You talk about the running backs that we had, like Tony Dorsett, Emmitt Smith. You look at this generation with Ezekiel Elliott and all. I mean, it's just so many people to name. It's just so many players that have come through this organization that have established greatness. The Michael Irvins, the Deion Sanders, the Ken Norton Jr. Like, I mean, the list goes on. Like, I mean, now I was always admired by like coaches, like players, not just by their playing ability but their character as well. I love the guy that was like a Sean Lee type of guy, a guy that's always about the team, that sets an example by doing it. Like he does the work, and then other people follow in his footsteps because they're like, okay, well, this guy is doing it. I need to do it this way. And I'm gonna succeed because he's succeeding that way, and I'm gonna do it just like how he does. And if I emulate that and then find my own route within that, then I'm gonna be good. Now, we those of you in this decade, we had to deal with the Jason Garrett era. I mean, you talk about the coaches that's been in here. Like, everybody talks about how like he got rid of Jimmy Johnson and Bill Parcells, after Jimmy Johnson after winning the Super Bowl and then cutting him or firing him, and then you had Jason Garrett here for a damn near decade, and he didn't even sniff an NFC title game. So it's almost like you weighing your options. We know that Jason Garrett has just been an average guy. He's been an average guy his whole life. I mean, he's a Princeton graduate, yes. That's high honors. But when you look at his football career, he's a career backup. He was a career backup for the Dallas Cowboys, a career backup for the Giants, a career backup for the Dolphins. And I think he was in Tampa Bay too. So, I mean, you look at the teams that Jason Garrett played for, and most notably the Dallas Cowboys, because, he coached for this team and was an offensive coordinator for us. You look at the coaches that were in that time: Chan Gailey, Wade Phillips, that was ultimately fired for Jason Garrett, and Jason Garrett now. And then Jason Garrett is fired this year, and not fired, but his contract was up, so he's gone. And now he's going to be the offensive coordinator for our division rival, the New York Giants. It's funny how the world spins around because, again, he's back with the team that he played for as well. So it's unbelievable. It's crazy. But Jerry Jones is a Hall of Famer himself. Now, you can say what you want about Jerry Jones, but you look at the history of Dallas Cowboys when we were originally called America's team, and a lot of people don't know the reason why we're America's team, because at the time, in the in the 80s and the early 90s, when Jerry Jones did that big deal with Nike, and the league was like, whoa, what is he doing? He was the innovator of that. He basically brought the media like to Dallas Cowboys. You know how like all these teams have their own media coverage? The Dallas Cowboys started that. You know what I mean? Like with their own media, their own podcast. Well, the podcasts didn't exist back then, but you know what I mean. Like they started the whole media thing. They started the branding. The star is a brand. The branding. Jerry Jones is a businessman. So the branding, the publications, the partnerships. He helped push start that. So other teams were doing in the league, and it brought the league money. And because it brought the league money, teams' salary caps can go up every year. And you can say what you want about Jerry Jones, but he was an innovator, and he did a lot of things for the league. I don't agree with a lot of things he said, but Jerry Jones is old. I'm at the point now, I look at Jerry like my granddaddy. I take what he says with a grain of salt. I listen to some things that make sense, but the stuff that don't make sense, I'm like, all right, Jerry, all right, you just talking mess. You're 77. Go sit down somewhere. But as we fast forward to now, this season, going into 2020 with Mike McCarthy and company, this is a new era. This is a new day. We are literally... It's a new era in Dallas. The old regime is gone. There's only pieces left from the Jason Garrett era. And it's funny how things just switch like that in less than a month. So Mike McCarthy, he completed his staff. His staff is complete. I was going over them in other videos, but now that it's complete, I have more information now. So we know Mike McCarthy is the head coach. He has 13 plus years. He had 13 years with the with Green Bay. He worked diligently with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre and Matt Flynn and all of them. So a lot of those guys that he developed. Even Scott Tolzien, and I'll talk about Scott Tolzien because Scott Tolzien is here now on the Dallas Cowboys as a coach. So It's funny because he has a lot of people from his Green Bay staff. He's got some people that he's worked with before, and some guys that he never worked with, but he knew them. So let's go through it. So Mike McCarthy's head coach, Rob Davis. He just got hired the other day. He's the assistant head coach. Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, he was already here. He's got 2 years experience. So as I go down this line, I'm gonna go through the years experience that these guys have. So you look at the years of experience. So Kellen Moore, of course, this is his second year. Young guy, I call him boy genius. He is still learning, but I'm telling you, under Mike McCarthy, he's gonna get there. And at some point, I'm gonna tell you right now, somewhere down the line, maybe 5-6 years from now, Kellen Moore gonna be a head coach somewhere, and he's gonna be a really good head coach one day. I think that he's gonna be like the next Sean McVay. I can see it happening. I got faith in the young boy, and he had growing pains, but just like with anybody else, when you start something new, you're still learning. But the fact that he's learning under good people, sky's the limits, guys. Sky's the limit. So, Joe Philbin, um, offensive line coach for the Cowboys. He has 15 years experience as an OC and a head coach. Now, he was a better OC than he was a head coach, but still, 15 years is 15 years. And he was also on Mike McCarthy's staff in Green Bay, too. Joe Blasco, he's the assistant offensive line coach. He has 4 years experience of being assistant offensive line coach. Adam Henry, wide receivers coach that we just signed, 10 years experience. Lunda Wells, tight ends coach for formerly the Giants, now the Dallas Cowboys, 8 years tight ends coach. Skip Peete, we all know Skip Peete because he was here from 2007 to 2012 before, when he had Marion Barber, Felix Jones, and DeMarco Murray for the first part of his career, for the first, I think, year or two. 21 years experience as a running backs coach. Wow. We just got him back from the Rams. Doug Nussmeier, he is now our quarterbacks coach. 2 years experience as a tight ends coach, but 17 years at the college level. Mike Nolan, defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys now. 32 years as a defensive coordinator / head coach. So that's another guy that's been a head coach on this team, on his staff. Jim Tomsula, I like this hiring as well because Jim Tomsula is one of those. He's a player coach. A lot of players that he coached love him. Like when he was with the Redskins and things like that, they loved him. He's a defensive line coach, 12 years, and he was also a head coach. Leon Lett, we know Leon Lett, the Cat, former Dallas Cowboy, assistant D-line coach, 9 years experience. Scott McClurley, linebacker. Him and they're gonna switch up roles, but linebackers coach, 5 years experience. He was also on the Green Bay staff too. George Edwards. So they signed George Edwards. You guys know he was a defensive coordinator for the Vikings. I did a video on him, my last video on him, but he didn't have a title at first. But we know now that his title is he's so good they created a title for him. Senior defensive assistant. That's George Edwards' position. Senior defensive assistant, 21 years as a defensive coordinator. Wow. So you basically have 3 defensive coordinators on this team that can help your defensive coordinator. Woo. So Maurice Linguist, secondary coach, DBs. Zero NFL experience, but he has 12 years college experience, and he's a young guy that's going to come in here to help these young secondary guys play even better. So I'm good with that. Al Harris, DB coach, 8 years. 8 years as assistant secondary coach, and he was also a player for the Green Bay Packers as well before he was a coach. So he played over there. So Mike McCarthy knows him too. He was a cornerback himself. Oh, my favorite pickup, John Fassel. Oh, my God. Did you see what he did with the special teams with the LA Rams? Wow. Now, like I said before, their punter was pissed when he left. So he's now with Dallas Cowboys. That was one of my favorite pickups. This special teams group is going to be totally different than it was last year, and I'm loving it. So he's a special teams coordinator with 14 years experience. Matt Daniels, assistant special teams coach, 2 years experience. So I love the balance of old guys and young guys on the staff, because the small amount of young guys that we do have on the staff, like the Matt Daniels, the Scott Tolzien, um, uh, and of course Kellen Moore, it's all it's going to do is take their coaching ability that they have now to the next level, so that someday they're going to get even better than they are now. So it's a good thing. I'm loving this coaching staff. So and I talked about Scott Tolzien. If that name sounds familiar to you, it should. He's a former NFL quarterback. He played for the Colts and the Green Bay Packers. His title is coaching assistant. Of course, 0 years coaching, but again, you got to start somewhere. So I think that him being on the staff definitely helps, because he knows Mike McCarthy. And Marcus Paul is the new strength and conditioning coach, because I think, was it Britt Brown retired. So Marcus Paul is our new strength and conditioning coach. So that's the staff, guys. So let me know what you guys think about this staff. I think that we're going in a whole new direction. Kellen Moore, he did his interview. They were talking to Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore basically said that he's going to be, basically in so many words, he's going to love working under Mike McCarthy and learning under him. He's going to basically call the plays. But what they're going to do is they're going to use the terminology. He's going to use some of Kellen Moore's mind and some of the ideas that he has, and he's going to blend in some of the stuff that Mike McCarthy does. So we're going to be in a West Coast offense. We're going to use the same terminology that we did before, but everything else is going to be totally different. So when you see this offense line up, you're not going to be able to sit there and guess what they're going to do. Because, and I hate when people say that, well, Mike McCarthy don't like to run the ball. Well, remember when he was the coach there, they didn't have a great running game. They had Eddie Lacy, but that wasn't Ezekiel Elliott. They didn't have an Ezekiel Elliott. They had Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, which are both throwers. Remember that, guys. Use the common sense. Those guys throw the ball. So that's why they threw the ball more. But I think Mike McCarthy is seeing what he has here. He's salivating over the fact that he's got good runners in Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. So he's going to use those guys, and he's going to basically just go ham with it. Now, on defense, Mike Nolan, he did his interview. He basically said the players that we have is going to dictate what we do on defense, which I think is great, because I'm tired of the coaches that we had before where they just had a simple mindset like Chris Richard and Rob Marinelli, trying to force fit what they do to the players that we have, and it doesn't match what they do. So what we're doing now with Mike Nolan, and he already said it, we're going to keep a 4-3 front, but that back end is going to be hybrid. It's going to be different. It's going to be predicated on the type of DBs that we have on this team. And that back end is going to be, and it's not going to be like, well, we're going to do 30% man or 60% here. We're going to play zone. No, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be a situation where it's going to dictate how the players play and the situation. So that's what I'm loving that. I'm loving that. Now, do I think Mike Nolan is the greatest defensive coordinator? No. But I think that the philosophy that they're bringing to the table right now makes a lot of sense for this Dallas Cowboys, and is going to benefit these players that we have and the new players that we will get as well. Everybody's speculating about Byron Jones, whether he's going to stay or go. I think that they're going to find a way to keep him. Remember, Dallas Cowboys got north of $90 million. They're going to be fine. If they want to, they can restructure Tyrone Crawford's contract, give him a bonus, and just eliminate that cap hit for this year. So they can figure some things out. Where there's a will, there's a way. But what you don't want to do is franchise tag Dak Prescott. I'm okay with franchise tagging Byron Jones to see what he does for a year with this new coaching staff, but Dak Prescott is your quarterback going forward, regardless. Even he said himself, he gave homage to Jason Garrett on him drafting him and things of that nature, and gave him respect, which he should. You should give your former coach respect. But the fact that he's excited about Mike McCarthy being here and looking forward to working with him, it just tells you that everything is going to be fine. So I wouldn't worry, guys. Dak Prescott said that he knows that Stephen Jones is going to make it happen, so they got to make it happen. So we'll see what happens. So I like to do things going forward. Before I end this video, I like to do things in order. So next agenda. So right after the Super Bowl this weekend. So my pick is the Chiefs, and I'm only picking the Chiefs because I secretly kind of like them. I don't know what it is about the Chiefs. They make me smile. I don't know what it is about the Chiefs. I just like. Now their defense is a little, but they got 4 of our former players on their team. So if they win the Super Bowl, that means Morris Claiborne, Charvarius Ward, Damian Wilson, and Anthony Hitchens will get Super Bowl rings. So I'm gonna root for my old Cowboy guys with the Chiefs. So because I definitely don't want San Fran to get another Super Bowl win, because then they'll be leading us in the Super Bowl win category. So, which makes it even more serious for us to go back and get another Super Bowl. But that's neither here nor there. But next order of the agenda, after Super Bowl, I'm going to talk about free agents and the guys that we have, and I'm going to go over each one of them, and I'm going to tell you what I think about who's going to stay, who's going to go, and maybe some guys that are up in the air. Because I like to, and then after that, then we can talk about the draft. I'll put my board together and get ready for the draft. I'm trying to get things together so I can get to Las Vegas for the draft, so I can get you guys some coverage from there. So, I look at it like this. I like to do things in order, because when you do things out of order, it's almost like trying to build a roof of a house without the foundation or the walls. You just can't do it. But anyway, in the meantime, between time, it's your boy E2 Blue. Talk to y'all soon. Y'all have a great day.